Alan, tell me about My Old Ass.
Well, it's saggy and wrinkly. But about the movie My Old Ass, it's see, this is what happens when I don't know what movie you're going to next.
I'm going in order from this.
Okay, here we go. So it's the story of a young woman, a Gen Z type teen, Elliot, played by Maisie Stella. She's the film is basically the last summer. She is moving away to the University of Toronto, leaving her family farm forever. She is very happy about that. She's about ready to cast off her family and start a brand new life. One night, the family decides that they're going to throw her a going away party, of which, being the Gen Z teen that she is, ditches to hang out with her friends for overnight camping. And during this overnight camping trip, Maisie takes a giant handful of shrooms. And while her friends are tripping out, she feels nothing until all of a sudden, Maisie's future self appears next to her, played by Aubrey Plaza. It is 39-year-old Elliot. Maisie's the actress. And they begin kind of hitting it off, kind of like they go through the typical, well, how do I know you're a future me? And then future Elliot, kind of gives her advice about life without revealing what her life will become. And there are two pieces of advice that future Elliot tells her. And it's one, spend more time with your family. And the second one is stay away from a guy named Chad. And then the next morning, she's out of the haze. Future Elliot actually enters her phone number in young Elliot's cell phone, and they're able to talk to each other throughout the rest of the film. But what is amazing about this film is there's a sci-fi element to it, but it's really a coming of age story. It's probably one that when you first watch it will turn you off. I'll say this: the first 20 minutes of this film is annoying as hell because it's basically the story of a Gen Z teen who hates her family, and you get it perfectly. And I'm an old man, and I barely tolerate Gen Z kids, especially my own. But what happens is the piece of advice of get to know your family. It becomes this story of her basically regretting the way she has treated her family over the last few years. And then this guy, Chad, this story takes a very interesting turn because, things happen. I think you can guess what happens in a coming of age story. And by the end, so once we got past the annoying part, once Aubrey Plaza shows up, this movie really starts to take off. I was engaged from that moment on, engaged with this story, with this character of Elliot, and a change in her life that she goes through that I didn't expect would happen, especially in these times, in these modern times. And then the ending itself just blew me away. There's a twist. There's a twist in the ending that I will not say. That kind of cinched this movie in so far as one of my favorite movies of the year. So I highly recommend My Old Ass, and I also recommend this movie. And I will say there are elements of this film that will turn you off because it may appear woke. But I think if anything comes out of this movie, if this movie gets any kind of traction, it's going to get criticized for potentially being anti woke or I'll just say it, anti-LGBT.
I wouldn't say it's that, but I'll say this: I really love this film.
Yeah,
I mean, it so surprised me, and that ending, I'm getting choked up at the end.
Yeah,
I mean, the message of this film is just so it creeps up on you, I guess is the best way to put it.
Oh, absolutely. The ending you don't see coming.
It's also about treasuring moments. I mean, I like this kind of film, this kind of they introduce one fantasy element. She does a ton of drugs, and suddenly she sees her older self can talk to her whenever she does these drugs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a connection. and it's so sweet. It's like any movie that has a fantasy element like Groundhog's Day. They
Mhm.
don't explain why it is, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You just buy it.
And
And
they loosely hold on to some form of rules, but you'll forgive
right,
it.
right. They make up the rule. It's like, believe it, it's a movie. Here's the rule, whatever. But Aubrey Plaza, I've always loved as an
Yeah.
actress. Always loved her from Parks and Rec. Whenever she's in films, really love it. Even these conversations between the two of them, the older, younger, and the woman, the who plays Elliot,
It's
this young
stellar.
actress, she's
Amazing.
great. She reminds me of she actually, you know what? She reminds me of my high school girlfriend. My high school girlfriend, kind of a tomboy, can hang with the boys. She's like fun, but she's also can be a girl. And she knows a lot of stuff, growing up on a farm. And God, it's so
Yeah.
sweet.
I need to talk about her performance because
Yes.
this is probably one of the most grounded performances I've seen in terms of I really believe she's not acting in this movie.
Yeah.
And the conversation between her and Aubrey Plaza in the beginning, where they kind of suss out, is this real? It is one of the funniest conversations I've heard in a while in movies. And again, it just feels authentic. It feels like if this situation were to actually happen, this is kind of how it would play out without going super freaky into sci-fi, sci-fi anxiety. It's just matter of fact. Are you? Oh, okay. And then they had this conversation that just sets the tone for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the kind of movie we kind of need right now. And
Mhm.
with regard, like in terms of, it's just a solid coming of age that really tugs at your heartstrings at the end. I mean, it's very sweet and sentimental. And you mentioned the wokeness. I actually think that's just kids today.
Yeah.
They talk about these things. She's ribbing her brother, and her brother complains, "You gave me a birthday card that said something about a cis white male." It's like, that's how they talk, but it wasn't preachy ever.
Yeah.
It wasn't preachy. It was very real. The kids were very real. She has a younger brother and kind of a brother. I don't know if he's older or around her same age, but she has two brothers, mom and a dad. And she has issues with all of them, but
Mhm.
she begins to stop and smell the roses. It's one of those movies
Yeah.
that makes you appreciate life, appreciate family, and then have this journey through her older self through and then meets a boy. It's all these things. And you're right. The beginning is kind of rocky, and then Aubrey Plaza shows up and the film takes a turn, and it's from there, it's so
Yeah.
lovable. It's lovable. It's just sweet. And you walk out I had such an appreciation for life. You're like,
Mhm.
wow, I remember summers like that
Yeah.
where it felt like it would never end, but it ends.
Yeah.
Summer ends, and it felt like one of those endless summers. It's always going to be like this. And she comes back to remind her, hey, appreciate what you have now. You're not always going to have it. I mean, it's a simple message, but
Mhm.
it's not preachy in the least. Don't
Yeah.
let the Sundance banner turn
Well,
you
it
off.
does preach, but it preaches the right message.
It preaches a simple message you can get behind. Stop, smell the roses, appreciate and love your family while you have them, because you won't always have them.
Yeah.
You will not always have the members in your family. And God, that ending just really got me. It
Yeah.
really did. I mean, that ending when you
Yeah.
realize,
Yeah. You realize what this movie's really about, and then it just
yeah,
hits you. It just hits you over the head, and it's like, yes, this is something you wish people would hear today, because this message was normal, 40 years ago. Uh, this is a message that's not being told today. This idea of the importance of your family, and the regret you'll feel if you don't connect with them. If you don't settle the score, basically, by the time you leave, uh, you know you. This is this is the movie. I'm taking my daughter to see this movie. I just told her to go. I have a movie I'm going to show you. I don't care if you don't want to see it or not. We're seeing this movie, and this is the one.
well, you're a good dad for doing that, but I cannot recommend enough
Mm-hmm.
My Old Ass. It's and I will say it's something we need. It's just a feel good movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of dark and just nihilistic films.
Preachy.
Yeah, preachy, dark, nihilism. The world's going to end. You've got no future. This is so sweet. And it's a message for the present. It's set present day. And Aubrey Plaza's character is like, more than 20 years in the future.
Yeah, she's
So, and
39. Yeah.
yeah, because she's 39 years old. So 20 years in the future, 21 years in the future. And it's just such a good, sweet, feel good message. We need more films like this. So cannot recommend My Old Ass enough.
Yeah.
Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. 8.5 for me. It's yeah. Go see the movie. Again, there are a few things you're gonna have to overcome a bit for if you're on the conservative side, but definitely worth it in the end. You mentioned the cis white male thing. She lashes out, calls her brother cis white male, but he's actually a good kid, and
Yeah.
she ultimately realizes that cis white people are not bad.
But I think that it's not a message. It's just that's how kids today talk.
Exactly. It's a reflection of what kids are today. Because believe me, they say these things.
Yeah, they have these conversations. They talk about this. This movie is the way to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way to handle it. Even they don't take it that seriously. They goof about it.
Yeah, like eye roll, and there she goes again.
Yeah, eye roll, like, oh God, give me like, yeah, it's so well done. So strong recommendation from both of us.
I'll say this reminds me, we talked a while ago about the idea that I think most people agree with each other 70% of the time, and this movie kind of hits that 70%, that we can come at this movie from different directions and different angles, but find commonality in that ending and in that message. And I think that's, I may not, I'm just going to assume I don't agree with her politically, but she wrote a very good movie. And, you could tell there are things I'm kind of uncomfortable with, but the ending, the message, and the way we got there was just perfect.
It sticks the landing and it sticks with you.